Trent Kennelly left me a great comment, and he said, "I'd love to see a video about becoming a better ally." Thank you very much. Excellent question. I appreciate that. This weekend, an important congressman passed, as you may know, Congressman John Lewis, and he was such an inspiration to so many of us. You may have been asking yourself, wow, like here's an example of a person who was so courageous and who made a difference, like one person that made such a big difference. How can I make a difference? So if you've been thinking along those lines, I'm going to leave you with 3 strategies for becoming a great ally and accompany those with examples of people who I've worked with who did that in such a powerful way. For the best strategies to take your career to the next level, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you can be notified when I post new content weekly. I'm Christina dellisanti-Miller of Full Potential Realized, and I'm a career transition coach. So I help mostly women take their career to the next level, and that could be getting a pay raise, taking on a new role, getting a promotion, taking on leading a team, things of that nature. And I've worked with many women who've taken their careers to very cool and groovy places. Okay, let's talk about what do we mean by being a great ally. An ally is a person who shares their power with others. And as you know, if you look at the dynamic in a group, there's some people who are closer to the source of power and some people who are less close to the source of power. And sometimes people closer to the source of power hold on to that, and sometimes they share it. So the allies are the ones who make sure that everyone is being heard, seen, and valued, distributing that power in the group. So before I start with the strategies, I'm interested in how you've distributed your power when you are closest to the center of power in the group. How have you been a great ally, or how has someone been a great ally to you? Please share in the comments. Love to hear your perspective on that. First strategy, I'm going to point to my first boss, one of my first bosses, and he hired me as the non-obvious candidate. So I would say being a great ally involves not, if you are a hiring manager, not just choosing the obvious person and casting a wider net and looking at different qualifications that might be valuable. So in this example, I was a customer service agent just out of college, and the job was trainer of customer service agents, but also of couriers and people who unload airplanes and supervisors and managers. And the person I was competing with was already a supervisor. He had been a courier, and now he was a supervisor of couriers. So everyone thought he was the obvious choice because he had already done that job. I had met this manager because I did an information interview with him. I called him up while I was still in college and I said, hey, I'm so interested in your department and I'd love to learn more about your function. Can I come and meet you? And so we had a meet and greet. And so then when that job opened up, we already had some kind of rapport. So he already knew about my enthusiasm, and I think that's what distinguished me, because I think the other guy, who had some of the qualifications different than mine, but, valid candidate, I think he came in thinking he had it in the bag and maybe wasn't that enthusiastic about it. Whereas we had to present in our interviews a portion of one of the courses. I came in with an audio tape and I had made up a game and I had flip charts, like I was into it. And so that manager gave me a chance anyway. And I brought that initiative and creativity to the job. So if you are a hiring manager, giving a chance to the non-obvious candidate who may also be qualified, but in a different way. If you're not a hiring manager, I think it's opening your point of view about what people bring to the table and considering what you evaluate or perceive others' abilities, and really be thoughtful about, are you taking a limited view or are you taking a wide view? Because sometimes people bring things to the party given the opportunity to contribute that you might not have anticipated. Second example was someone from a diversity council that I served on many years ago when we were still telling jokes. I think the style then was people memorized jokes, and if you got on the phone with somebody, they would tell you a joke straight through to the punchline. And a lot of those were disparaging about different groups of people. And in this diversity council meeting, one of the senior leaders said, I would like to propose to the group that everyone commit to never telling a joke that disparages another again. And we were all like, confronted, actually. It seems silly now. Yeah, but we were confronted and we had to really like think about it. But I think this was a great ally move, and I'll tell you why. Because he noticed what was in the space of us being able to be good partners, and an ally is one that promotes excellent partnership. And he said, let's give this up. Can we all agree? And he enrolled everybody. So everybody on the council, which was like, what, 15 or 20 people, went home, thought about it, and came back the next time and were like, all right, I'll give that up. And so, you know, little ripples. And I think he even asked us to say, like, something to halt if somebody else was doing it, to kind of interrupt. Yeah, which was, you know, something scary to commit to, but everybody committed. That's a super way to be an ally. Third example of a great ally. When I was working in the investment bank, again, many years ago, they didn't have a gay and lesbian agenda, and there were people who were working in the bank who were gay and lesbian, but they were not out, and no one was out on the trading floor. And in order to convene a group, we actually had to go to another floor because nobody wanted to be known and to be seen. But which was a problem, because at competing banks, people were out and there were gay and lesbian networking groups, and so that was putting us at a competitive disadvantage. You know, if somebody was out, and then what were they going to go back in the closet to come in our firm? It doesn't make any sense. So we said to the CEO, you have to go on the trading floor, please, and say the words gay and lesbian, and like weave them into the conversation, which he did, to his credit. And we had events where we invited producers from other firms who were out to come and speak on a panel. And what this one executive did was he came to the event, he stood in front of the door and welcomed people, invited people to come, and opened up the conversation. Just by his presence, he made it known that this is something that we were open to. We were shifting our stance of being closed to being open, and he engaged others in their participation. So what can you take from this if you want to be an ally? Going to support your colleagues in other groups, and even helping put on those events, actually being part of the team to support those groups, to share their stories, to make sure that they're understood, heard, and valued, is another super way to be a valuable ally. Being an ally is one way you can make a difference. And another way you can make a difference is getting the vote out. And you know we're getting close to the election. If you're interested in hearing more about my upcoming program, which will be both for people who want to manage or who are managers but haven't been trained yet, and for people who just want to make a contribution to advance our democracy, stay tuned by dropping me your email at fullpotentialrealized.com/vote. We're going to have a good time, we're going to make a difference, and we're going to pick up skills. Check out these next videos for additional strategies on taking your career to the next level. And please like this video, give it a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks, I look forward to seeing you next time.